In a small town nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a lady named Eleanor. She was known to all as the sad lady of Willow Lane. Her sadness was like a cloak that draped over her, heavy and burdensome, visible to anyone who passed her by. Eleanor lived alone in a quaint cottage at the end of Willow Lane. Her once bright eyes were now dim with sorrow, and her smile, if ever there was one, seemed to have faded into the shadows of her past. No one knew the source of her sadness, for Eleanor rarely spoke of her troubles. Instead, she carried them quietly within her, like fragile treasures she feared might shatter if revealed. Each day, Eleanor would wander through the town, her steps slow and heavy. She passed by the bustling market where laughter echoed and children played, but she remained untouched by the joy around her. People would offer her warm greetings, but she merely nodded in response, her gaze fixed on some distant point only she could see. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves turned to hues of gold and amber, a young girl named Lily approached Eleanor on Willow Lane. Lily was a bright-eyed child with a heart full of curiosity and compassion. She had seen the sad lady many times before and felt a tug at her own heartstrings each time their eyes met. "Good morning, sad lady," Lily said softly, her voice like a gentle breeze through the trees. Eleanor looked down at the girl, surprised by the warmth in her voice. She hadn't expected anyone to address her with such kindness. "Good morning, young one," Eleanor replied, her voice tinged with melancholy. Lily smiled up at Eleanor, undeterred by the sadness that surrounded her. "Why are you always so sad, sad lady?" she asked, her eyes wide with innocence. Eleanor hesitated, unsure of how to respond. No one had ever asked her that question so directly before, but something in Lily's earnest gaze urged her to speak. "I carry a heavy burden," child Eleanor began, her voice trembling with emotion. "A burden too heavy for these old shoulders to bear." Lily listened intently as Eleanor shared fragments of her story: the loss of loved ones, the ache of loneliness, the weight of regrets that lingered like shadows in her heart. Tears glistened in Eleanor's eyes as she spoke, the walls she had built around her crumbling with each word. After what felt like an eternity, Eleanor fell silent, her sorrow laid bare before the young girl. Lily reached out and took her hand, a simple gesture of comfort that spoke volumes. "You don't have to carry your burden alone, sad lady," Lily said softly, her voice filled with compassion. "Let us help you carry it. Let us share your sorrow and lighten your load." Eleanor looked down at Lily, her eyes brimming with gratitude and disbelief. In that moment, she realized that she was not as alone as she had thought. There were kind souls in the world who were willing to walk alongside her, to offer support and solace in her darkest hours. From that day forward, Eleanor's sadness did not vanish entirely, but it became more bearable, more manageable, with the love and compassion of those around her. And though she would always be known as the sad lady of Willow Lane, she was no longer defined solely by her sorrow. She was a woman who had weathered storms and emerged stronger for it, her spirit uplifted by the kindness of a young girl who saw beyond her sadness and into her soul. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7. "Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you." My friend, Jesus loves you, and yes, he cares about you. There is no need to be walking around with a burden of sadness. Cast them on him because he cares about us.